Hello, everybody. Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World, coming to you on a Thursday. And we had enough of a show planned for you guys today. If you watched our show yesterday, you would know that. But, of course, the NBA world never sleeps, and breaking news constantly happens here around the National Basketball Association. So we're doing a slight adjustment on our schedule. That Northwest season preview episode is still going to happen, just not today. Because we have breaking news around 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Donovan Mitchell was officially traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers in a massive package that we will talk about here in a few minutes. But yeah, I'm David Hubbard right there with TJ Hopkins. And if you're looking for consistent content on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Prime Sports World is a pretty good place to be. We go live every single day, or almost every single day, bringing the most up-to-date content. And when breaking news happens in all of the sports world, we tend to bring it to you guys as well with some sort of analysis, breaking down what happened. Also, I have shared the StreamYard link into all of the places, including the main Prime Sports World Facebook page. So if you want to join us and talk about the Donovan Mitchell trade, more than welcome to do so. We welcome guests here at Prime Sports World. But yeah, happy Thursday. Hope everybody having a good day. And TJ, man, the NBA really never sleeps, man. Like, it is a go association for sure. How are you, man?
Same old, same. And I use up 21-3, but it's Eastern, so I'm not taking much.
I joked because I work in Fort Wayne, right, in Indiana. A bunch of my coworkers went to Ball State, and I constantly joke that, like, I have another coworker went to Central Michigan, and another coworker went to Kent State, and I constantly joke that NIU is the pride of the MAC. And I'm like, the only way that we can lose to Eastern Illinois is that Tony Romo all of a sudden decides to show up, and like prime Tony Romo or Jimmy Garoppolo decides, hey, it's time to go again. There's no way we're losing to EIU. But yeah, tonight is actually some action. I think there's some primetime action games on TV right now. So love me some action. And so the real reason that we've decided to audible the schedule a little bit here is because Donovan Mitchell got traded. Let me just put it on a scale of 1 to 10. How shocked were you when this news went down the wire that Donovan Mitchell, not only that he got traded and where he got traded?
Not at all. I think the bigger shock is where he got traded. Like, the fact that he got traded shouldn't surprise anyone.
I agree with you 100%. I thought for sure he was going to get traded. The shocking part for me is nearly a 10 about the Cavaliers. Like, I did not see this coming from anywhere. Like, I had no idea that I didn't even really think that was even on the radar.
Well, when we talked about the initial trade request, the Cavs were a name that we just threw out there because
yeah. I mean, they have the young assets. They have a team that's up and coming.
So all the Knicks fans out there, like, y'all want to get mad at the front office for
we're gonna talk about the Knicks here a little bit, but
like, y'all want to get mad at them for not executing the trade. You don't have the assets. No one wants Julius Randle. No one wants Obi Toppin. No one wants Emmanuel Quigley. You have pieces that no one wants. That's how it works. Like, yeah, you can say, oh, we're going to get Donovan Mitchell. All we got to do is give up X, Y, and Z. You realize the Utah Jazz have to want X, Y, and Z.
Yep. I mean, they offered at one point, I think they offered 7 first-round picks. Let's be clear, when people talk about them offering 7 first-round picks, it doesn't literally mean 7 first-round picks. It means 4 first-round picks and then 3 pick swaps. Like, they weren't offering 7 first-round picks. All of a sudden, this narrative has gotten flipped. The fact that, like, oh, they offered 7 first. Like, no, it's 4 and 3 pick swaps. Those pick swaps are not trading those picks away.
All right, and I think you always want to, like, in the NBA, they have a rule where, like, you can't trade back-to-back first-round picks, right?
And ironically enough, that rule is named after the old GM in Cleveland. His name is totally escaping right now, but he was the GM in Cleveland, and he was the orchestrator of that rule. It's named after somebody who was a Cleveland GM.
So it's like they have the 2023 first-round pick, right?
No. We'll go over when we get into the details. But my shock level is a 10. I straight up did not expect Donovan Mitchell to get traded this afternoon. I did not expect him to get traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Because, we knew kind of just threw Cleveland out there as a team to kind of keep an eye on. But I'd never imagined he would be there when we're talking about him being traded a month and a half later. I was pretty shocked. And I work in a newsroom. I work with some Cavalier fans, and they were stoked.
And again, like, if I'm the Knicks, right, I understand. Like if I'm a Knicks fan, I understand. Like you want Donovan Mitchell to play alongside R.J. Barrett, but you also got to understand that's the commodity that the Utah Jazz want. And when you decided to pay R.J. Barrett, guess what that did? That took you out of the Donovan Mitchell sweepstakes.
Yep,
Basically,
basically.
that's what they did.
I wouldn't say completely, but yeah, for all intents and purposes, unless they really thought they were going to be getting, Donovan Mitchell for a package that didn't include R.J. Barrett, which I think is unrealistic.
Exactly.
So let's get into the package. So first of all, the Cleveland Cavaliers, obviously, they get Donovan Mitchell. By the way, heading to the 216, that is the area code for the Cleveland Cavalier area. So I thought it'd be fun heading to the 216, a fun little play on words. Utah getting Colin Sexton into sign and trade. Lord Markkanen, who's under contract for the next 2 seasons. I think one more than a player option for the season after that. Ochai Agbaji, the kid they took it out with the 14th pick out in this year's draft out of Kansas. 3 unprotected first-round picks, 25, 26, 27, and 29. I think because of the Karis LeVert trade, they could not trade the 23 or the 24 first-round picks. So 25, 27, 29 unprotected. And then they got 2 first-round pick swaps, 26 and 28. Colin Sexton, as part of this deal, agrees to a 4-year, $72 million contract. Donovan Mitchell, if you're just curious about his contract situation, Donovan Mitchell under contract until 2025, 26 is where the contract runs up. He will not be a free agent until he's 30 years old in the summer of 2026. He's going to be making $30 million this year, $32 million the season after that, $34 the season after that. He's got a player option for that 2025, 2016 at $37 million. I'm sure he'll decline. But yeah, so that's the contract. That's Donovan Mitchell's stats right there. 24 points per game, 44 field goal percentage, 36 percentage from the three-point line, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. He gets even better in the playoffs, averaging 28 points per game, 43 field goal percentage, 37, 5, and 5. So TJ, the question for this is, who wins this trade?
Obviously, the Cavs win the trade. They got the better player in the deal, right?
Yeah, but I actually kind of like this on both sides. I actually think this is one of the rare trades. I feel like this is kind of a win-win.
A win-win?
Yeah, I mean, Utah, you get a younger Colin Sexton on a really team-friendly deal. I mean, 4 years, $72 million is that's nothing. That's under $20 million a year.
Yeah, you got
for a guy who could straight up score, and then Lauri Markkanen. I mean, for the Cavaliers, this is a home run. You basically nobody wanted Lauri Markkanen. You basically signed him on a whim last season. Obviously, Agbaji, we have no idea what he's going to be. You basically got Donovan Mitchell for 3 guys you basically didn't want.
Well, we already knew Colin Sexton was basically on the outside looking, especially with the growth of Darius Garland. That kind of he made Colin Sexton expendable. Lauri Markkanen is still trying to find.
I mean, he's still young enough that he could turn his career around.
It's not that
he doesn't even need to turn his career around. That's not a very negative, but
his skill set is fine. He just needs to find a permanent home. All right, like this is his 3rd team. Yeah, this is going on to his 3rd team.
3rd team in 3 seasons or 2 seasons, really.
Yeah, in 2 seasons. They just he's in a situation now where he can definitely play more because Utah's not going to be good, right? So he can literally come. I don't know what the starting lineup is going to look like in Utah now. It's
let me take a look at that roster real quick. I mean, for Utah, I think getting Colin Sexton is a better player than anybody you would. Even if you get R.J. Barrett, I mean, Colin Sexton, I think is still. I think the debate is out on how good a player R.J. Barrett is, but Colin Sexton was good at one point during his in the season. Yeah. So they're now their lineup looks like Mike Conley, Colin Sexton, Bojan Bogdanovic, Lauri Markkanen, and Walker Kessler, who they got in the Rudy Gobert trade. That's their projected starting lineup. We'll talk about this in a few minutes, but this is a trade that I actually really like on both sides. I think it's a better trade for the Cavaliers than it is Utah, because I mean, Colin Sexton's a fine player, but the rest of it is kind of meh. I think you could have gotten more than this, but if this is the package, I don't hate it on either side. I mean, this is why drag this out into the season if you're like, let's get Donovan Mitchell somewhere where he actually wants to play. Let's just alleviate a lot of this stress.
And I get that's kind of what it is. Like that's what Danny Ainge does. You also got to keep in mind like Dwayne Wade is a part of the ownership
Yeah.
in Utah now, so it's clear the direction they want to go in. I said it in the group chat. I would have tried to include Karis LeVert in this deal. Like I would like Colin Sexton, Markin, O'Shea Abaji, and Karis LeVert, and maybe I would lose one of those first round picks. In
Well, I think
exchange.
the problem is that we talked through this sort of when we talked about it in the group chat. I think the max that could have gotten back, unless they were Utah was gonna send another additional player because of the way contracts and the trades have to match up in the contract size. I
Mhm.
think because of Colin Sexton signing that extension, Lauri Markkanen's on like a $17 million deal. Like you have to match salary for salary, so I don't think they could get another player back in this trade. I think this is kind of their max. And
That makes
they might not even want Karis LeVert. I mean, he's 28 years old. He's probably not going to get any better than he is now. There's very little. I mean, he's a good basketball player, but he's kind of reached his ceiling, in my opinion. I think you want guys that still have room to grow. I think Lauri Markkanen still has some room to grow. I mean, Colin Sexton obviously still has some room to grow. And Ajbaji, I mean, he was great in college. He hasn't even played a game in the NBA. He's for sure has room to grow. I'm probably butchering his last name real bad, but
no. You said O'Shea Agbaji. Like you said it right.
oh, okay.
This not like on the flip side of this. Like all right, Cleveland. All right, this is one of those like all right chips to the middle. Right, like
Yeah.
we got like we're going for it. I don't like now. You have to figure out like what your starting lineup is.
Well, I think they're
We
starting
have a
lineup is
clue.
easy. I
Like
think it's easy.
we have a clue. Like obviously, like, Garland and Mitchell 1 and 2. Figure out what you want to do at that 3 spot. Like
I
I
mean,
saw,
Karis LeVert, maybe, probably, unless you want to bring off a defensive guy because you're going to have one of the worst defensive backcourts in the NBA.
and the picture I saw that Photoshop Mitchell into the starting lineup. It was him. Like I said, it was Garland. Him. They put a Coro.
Yeah, I can see
They
that.
still, they still had a Coro at the 3 with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Because you're right. Like the fit. Like in terms of backcourt defense, yeah, they got 2 of the worst guards defensively in the game. Like they have no defense in the backcourt whatsoever.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I mean, they're going to score. I mean, but yeah,
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
Donovan Mitchell came into the NBA as like a wing defender. Like the fact that he's become such a great scorer is kind of fantastic for his life. But he wasn't really billed as like this all NBA type scorer when he came out of college. Like people thought he'd be a great defender, and like whatever you gave him on the offensive side has been a plus. And his career has been the polar opposite of that. Like he's been a lackluster defender, but a great offensive player. So who knows? Knows what experts know, right?
It's probably what they asked him to do at Louisville. Like they didn't ask him to score a lot at Louisville, so it's like, hey, we just need you to do like you can score, but your primary focus when you're out there is going to be, hey, play defense. And it is what it is. Like I hate the fact that he had to not dumb his skill set down, but neglect one or the other. And like, but sometimes like those are sacrifices that you have to make to play at the D1 level. Like that's what it is. That's what it, that's what it comes down to. Obviously, like this is you look at the Cavs team. Like if it wasn't for I wholeheartedly believe that if they just didn't get ripped to shreds with injuries last season, they don't make this deal because
I disagree with you. I think this is
no, dude,
even if you make the playoffs now last season, you're still like being like I literally just talked about this. Like Colin Sexton, you didn't want to resign. Lauri Markkanen was the guy you just took a flyer on last offseason. You're getting Donovan Mitchell, man. Like he's an all-star. They're gonna have 3 all-stars on their team now.
How is it taking a flyer on the dude when you gave him an extension? That's not a that.
Lauri Markkanen, they did not give him an extension. They basically waited for.
It was a sign and trade. What are you talking about?
I mean, yeah, but they didn't give him an extension, and he was just vaguely part of a sign and trade. Like, come on, let's not pretend like the Lauri Markkanen market was like super robust last offseason. Let's not be ridiculous.
He still got paid. Like, forget what you talking about. He still got paid. Like, sure. and they took that contract on. Like taking a flyer is not what they did. Like that,
I, would.
That was a confident move they made.
I will respectfully disagree with you, but I think Lauri Markkanen still has some upside. I mean, like he's still a good basketball player, but he doesn't like. I think eventually teams would have figured out that's 3 7-footer lineup. I think going with a more traditional lineup with Mobley and Cora at the 3 and Jared Allen, and now you have probably the best front court or back court, whichever one it is. I can never remember. You have the best whatever that one is in the Eastern Conference, arguably. Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. I mean, who's got a better 1-2 than that in the Eastern Conference?
We'll come back to that because I don't have that answer from me. Again, I wholeheartedly if they don't get ripped to shreds because if they don't get injured, they make the playoffs. Like not the play in.
I know
they make the playoffs if they don't get injured. So
I mean, come on, man. They're just because they made the playoffs doesn't mean they were going to be they were for sure not going to go to the finals, man. Like they needed to do something else to spice up this roster a little bit, and this is a slam dunk move in my opinion.
All right, well, if we don't win it, because this is not a make the playoffs move. Like this is you gotta
I agree with you.
Championship move, so they better do something.
I agree with you. I think this is one of those moves you make when you're on the I mean, I could see a logistic scenario where the Cavaliers have the 3rd best record in the Eastern Conference next season. I think I don't think this makes them better than obviously Boston, Milwaukee, Philadelphia.
Okay, so
Brooklyn.
that's 4 right there. That's
so
5.
They're 5. They're better. This move makes them better than the Bulls, makes them better than the Raptors, makes them better than the Hawks, even with the moves that they made this offseason. Like I can see a scenario where they're maybe even better than the Philadelphia 76ers next season.
Yeah.
And for Utah, on the other side, I mean, for the Cavaliers, this is the trade. In my opinion, I give this trade an A for the Cavaliers. I know it's kind of like we talked about this a little bit with the DeJounte Murray, but Donovan Mitchell's a better player than DeJounte Murray. And
I don't think that's saying much.
Sure. Okay. All right. Well, fine. But pushing your chips all to the middle with what they already have on this roster, and this is an A+ for the Cavaliers. On the Jazz side of this, I actually really like the package that they got back for him. 3 first-round picks. Colin Sexton, who's still a good young player, only 23 years old. Lauri Markkanen's only 25, 26. He still has upside. And not to mention, this trade allows them to eventually look at their roster and be like, hey, Mike Conley, we're rebuilding, so we're going to try to shop you somewhere else. Boban Bogdanovic. Every team in the NBA can use a Boban Bogdanovic. And you heard it here first. Look for Mike Conley and Bogdanovic get moved for Westbrook within the next 3 weeks.
If that's all it took to get Westbrook, they would have did it already.
I don't know. I think because
you don't know.
I think the tables have shifted a little bit because I think that's all I'm saying. I look for it to happen.
If that's all it took to get Westbrook out of LA, they would have did that move.
But I think the Utah's willingness to trade those guys has gotten higher since they traded with Donovan Mitchell. I mean, a team with Donovan Mitchell, probably the Utah Jazz led team with Donovan Mitchell, probably still pushes for a playoff spot.
No, it doesn't.
They don't make the playoffs, but they're still in the mix a little bit.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. I mean, all we did was trade away Rudy Gobert, and if everybody wants to trash him all the time, so if they got rid of Rudy Gobert, shouldn't they have gotten better?
No.
Okay. All right. If you had to give a grade each side, what's your grade? I think for the Jazz, I give this a B. Cavaliers, I give it an A.
Yeah, I have no issue with that.
But who won the trade between the two? Again,
the Cavs. They got the better player.
I'm going to give this a double win. I think both teams won. Let's talk about the Knicks. Because ever since the Donovan Mitchell stuff, kind of even before he was like, oh, yeah, we're going to try to shop this guy, the Knicks were always linked to Donovan Mitchell. Now that they've missed out on Donovan Mitchell, what do they do now? Their roster is, they have, R.J. Barrett, Jalen Brunson, who they signed in free agency, Evan Fournier still on this team, getting a bunch of money. Quentin Grimes, So what do they do now? I mean, is there another player that you could target in a trade, or is this kind of like the roster you're going to be rolling out with? And Jalen Brunson, you better be ready to be the number one guy, because if you're not, New York's going to chase you out of town. What happened? What do they do?
First off, you got to ask, okay, who's still out there? Who's out there?
I mean, the only guy I could think of is Miles Turner. But we'll get to. Well, I guess we'll get to him when we talk about the next segment. But Miles Turner is it. Like I like everybody else that I thought would be like a potential trade, but somebody who could get traded, either is in a situation now where I don't think they will, like D'Angelo Russell in Minnesota. I would be shocked if he got traded at this point. Also, I don't think that makes the Knicks any better. I mean, everybody, John Collins, but I don't think Atlanta is going to trade John Collins. I think if they were going to do that, they would have already done that, and I don't think that makes them any better either. So I'm not sure what the next move is. Like, there's nobody really that I can think that you could trade for that's available that I can think of. And yeah, if you can name somebody, I would love to hear it.
I don't have. That's the thing. I don't have anyone. Right? Like it's like I get it. Like all these execs that think Kevin Durant's just gonna somehow flip his. Shut up. Leave
No,
Kevin Durant alone and let him play basketball. That's literally all he wants to do. Just let Kevin Durant play ball. Like just shut up. And the Nets have already like stuck their ground into. We're not trading you, dude. Like you're here for the next 4 years, right? Plus,
Well, I think there could be a scenario where next offseason the conversations start back up because, but your point still. I mean, they're not trading Kevin Durant this offseason, so there's no point in talking about it.
there's no point in talking about. Also, again, if you're the Knicks, you have to have pieces that other teams want. That's literally how trades work. So you can't.
And they took RJ Barrett off the table. He can't get traded until like January now, and he's the only piece they have.
So like you can't sit here and be like, hey, I'm gonna call the Pacers. Hey, what do you want from Miles Turner? Well, what do you have that we won't? If you call the Pacers talking about you want Miles Turner and your best offer is centered around like Julius Randle, Emmanuel Quigley, and Obi Toppin, they're laughing you off the phone.
Well, they can also incentivize that deal with 3 first-round picks.
You're getting laughed off the phone. I don't care.
I think 3 first-round picks and Obi Toppin and Quentin Grimes and some stuff, and I think that'd be enough to get. That might be enough. I don't know, but
no, because like think about it. Think about what you just said. If that's all it took to get Miles, don't you think they would have did that deal already?
I mean, yeah, probably. I mean, De'Aaron Fox. That doesn't seem likely that the Knicks, the Kings are going to try to make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to trade away their best player, especially after they just traded away Tyrese Haliburton in the offseason before the trade deadline. I mean, Russell Westbrook potentially. I mean, I don't know if you're the Lakers do Obi Toppin and stuff make you better than a Russell Westbrook. No. I don't think so.
No. Like, see, I just want like LeBron fans and Laker pundits. Like, you know what I want to happen? I want Westbrook to get traded away. I want him to get traded away. So when the Lakers don't make the playoffs again, I want them to be like, oh, I thought Westbrook was the problem. It's like, y'all get rid of the problem, everything gets better, right? So I want them to trade Westbrook away. You know, LeBron's only going to play 50 games because that's what he is now. And AD is going to also play 50 games because that's what he is. That's what he's always been. That's what he's always been. Right? So when those two dudes are in and out of the lineup and you play a full 82 games with 65 different starting lineups like you just did, and you miss the playoffs again, and Westbrook's not there to catch all that hell, who are you going to blame then? That's what I want to happen. That's what I want to happen in Lakerland. But if you're
I mean, could you think about trading for like a Jordan Poole maybe? Like I don't know what you would even take to get him, but
I have no. Like if I'm the, well, I almost said the wrong thing. If I'm the Warriors, I kind of let that situation
work itself out.
I let that situation work itself out because this is a guy who wants max money, right? Like you said, like we have 2 examples of Jordan Poole. Right, we have one season of Jordan Poole with no Steph, no Clay, and just Draymond, and you were terrible. And then we have a Jordan Poole with all those guys here, and it's like I got to judge it with a grain of salt, bro. Like I can't say, oh, that's the Jordan Poole we want, because if I trade for you, which Jordan Poole am I getting? Because I don't have a Steph, I don't have a Clay,
true,
I don't have a Draymond.
Right? But yeah, I think if you're the Knicks, I'm not sure what you do. Like you basically traded away. You traded away all these assets to have this cap space, and you used it for Jalen Brunson, and then you acquired 3 first-round picks you thought you were going to use as ammunition for a trade. None of that worked out. You just have to roll with what you got now. I
You
mean,
gotta
this is.
roll with what you got. You're stuck with what you got. Like
There is nobody who's going to all of a sudden become available. Like Damian Lillard's not going anywhere. Bradley Beal's not going anywhere. You can't afford him anyways. But
like literally, like the first two names you just said, they can't afford. And even if they could, I don't even think legit with Bradley Beal, Dame Lillard. I don't even think even if they didn't give RJ Barrett that money, I don't even think he's enough to entice those two teams to send their
not
best.
not to mention Bradley Beal has that no trade clause, so he can just be like, nah, I'm not going to New York. How with that? I'm not going to New York. You're dreaming. I'm not going to New York. But yeah, the Knicks are in a tough spot. If you're a Knicks fan, this is not a good day for you. That's for sure. Let's talk about the next player to possibly get dealt. This has been a wild NBA offseason where there seems to be a trade basically one every month. Like, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Brogdon. The Hawks traded away Justin Holiday, traded away Kevin Huerter. Royce O'Neal went to the Brooklyn Nets. DeJounte Murray went to the Hawks. There was some moves between the Wizards and the Nuggets. Nerlens Noel, got traded for some stuff. This has been a pretty wild offseason where players have gotten moved, and they've gotten moved for large packages. It hasn't been just like, one first-round pick for like somebody random. Like it's been tons of draft capital for like every player you can imagine. But there still seems to be like people think that maybe there are still potentially some players that could get moved. And I think the only one that I can think of besides Miles Turner would be on his own team is Buddy Hield. I still think that we talked about this when we did the Indiana Pacers season preview episode yesterday, or whatever it was like last week sometime, or Monday. I still think those two guys eventually get traded. Maybe not before the season gets started now at this point, but before the trade deadline for sure.
Yeah,
but I can't think of anybody else.
Well, the thing I can't either. Like I don't. I expect anything. I don't expect another trade to be done. Really, probably to the deadline. Do I see could I see a Miles Turner? What's his name? DeAndre Ayton swap. If that's even allowed to be done, I don't know.
No, it's not. Not anymore. Not until like January or something. That's what
I'm saying. Like that was like deadline.
Okay, yeah, they could do it at the deadline, but I think if something that was going to happen, I think that would have happened. I think that would have happened like when DeAndre Ayton got signed. I don't think now at this point it's going to happen.
So,
and I also mentioned Mike Conley and Bogdan Bogdanovic. I think both those guys get traded potentially before the season starts. If I was to predict two guys, I think like the trade that happens before the season starts, it's Bogdan Bogdanovic and Mike Conley both being dealt either in the deal together or in separate deals. They will not be on the team when the Utah Jazz take the court in their first game of the season. It's just a prediction.
No, they can't because they just can't. Like especially, I don't know how much. I really don't know how much Mike Conley has left in the tank. Like I'm not being disrespectful. He was dealing with Achilles injuries all of last season and like missed a bunch of time, and he missed some time in the playoffs. He missed some time the season before that. Yeah, Mike Conley's getting beat up a little bit. I mean, he's been playing heavy minutes basically since he got into the NBA. Like, let's be real. He's 34 years old. His birthday's in October. He's going to be 35 this next coming season. This is a guy who's played a lot of minutes in the NBA. And like you said, everybody could use Bogdanovic. Everybody can use
Jordan Clarkson, another guy.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody can use those two dudes. Like if they
got Malik Beasley, they got Rudy Gay on their roster too. That all are under contract. They could trade those guys too.
I know the right team that can use either. They could especially use Bogdanovic. If I'm New Orleans. Because I got the young assets, I got the talent pool to for you to look at, right? Like the only issue is like, do you want Devontae Graham on your team? Like probably not. So maybe I don't know.
I don't know. It's tough, but I think the big name players that we've seen traded this offseason, I think that part of the season is over. I think we're looking at those minor, Rudy Gay getting traded somewhere. Like, no disrespect to Bogdanovic, but he's not a superstar. He's a good 3-point shooter. He can really really fill it up at Perth and be their best player on certain nights. But we'll see how that ends up playing out. Let us know down in the comment section what you thought about the Cavaliers Utah Jazz trade. Donovan Mitchell is now a member of the Cleveland Cavaliers. And man, I love this Colin Sexton trade. This is a steal, by the way. Like, I can't believe how little this money is. Like, I almost feel like this is an error. Like, 4 years, $72 million is like, what is it, like $18 million a year for a guy who can put up 25 points a night? That is a good deal for a Utah Jazz friendly team. Moving on to Go Talk, my friend. You want to explain the premise and let's get into it. Let me open up Microsoft Word real quick so I can write this stuff down.
I'm not explaining the premise. Like, it's basically like, if you don't know what Go Talk is by now, then you're just missing out.
Right? Go Talk is where we basically take two players that either they played in either different eras or different eras, and they didn't get the shine that deserved on the court. So this conversation is not going to involve Michael Jordan. It's not going to involve LeBron. It's going to be the guys who didn't get the shine. And TJ has one for me today. I'm going to bust out one for our next episode of the crossover. I think it's going to be next week sometime because we got NFL stuff basically all next week. TJ, let's go. Player one.
Player one. Let me pull it up. Player one is a small forward, could play the forward depending on certain lineups. Played from 2005 to 2015. Was a first round draft pick, 17th overall. Was an all-star in 2009. Was most improved player in 2009. NBA All-Rookie Team in 2006. Career totals of 9,855 points. That's 16.8 or 17 points a game. 2,888 rebounds, 4.9. That's 5 rebounds a game. And 1,097 assists. That's 2 assists a game. He was on the FIBA World Basketball Team in 2010 that won gold in Turkey. Played for the Heat, Clippers, and Pacers. That's player one.
Okay.
He also played for the Suns and the Pistons. Sorry, I left that part out.
Okay. All right, player two.
Player two.
I don't know who this is. Okay, player two.
Player two is also a small forward / power forward. Played from 97 to 2015. Was drafted in his NBA career started in 2001. So he was drafted in 99, but he stayed overseas.
You said his NBA career started in 1997?
No, his playing career started in 97.
Oh, okay. All right.
His NBA career started in 2001. He came over in 2001.
Gotcha.
So from 97 to 2001, he was overseas. Then 2001, for the rest of his NBA career, he was here. And then the last year of his playing career, he went back overseas. So he was drafted in 99, first round pick, 24th overall. Was an all-star in 2004, All-NBA defensive team, first team in 2006, two-time All-NBA defensive team, second team in 2004, 2005, rookie first team in 2002, led the league in blocks in 2005, and then he has a bunch of accolades from his Europe career. Career totals 9,431. That's 12 points a game. Rebounds 4,352. That's 5.5 rebounds a game. And 2,169 assists. That's 2.7, or basically 3 assists a game. Bronze in the 2012 Olympic Games, and that's the only. Is that the only? Yeah, that's the only Olympics he played in. Man, that's crazy.
Okay.
And he played for the Nets, Timberwolves, and the Jazz. That looks like it's it. Yep, Nets, Timberwolves, and Jazz.
I wanted to say that player one I thought might have been Lamar Odom, but it's for sure not because you didn't mention the Lakers. But you did mention the Pacers, so I'm going to guess that this is Danny Granger, player one.
Player one is Danny Granger.
Okay. Player two, I have very little guess for because I'm not as familiar with the international stuff before 2005, I guess. The block leader, Nets and Timberwolves and Jazz.
He has one of the best nicknames in NBA history.
That's not the Stifle Tower. That's Rudy Gobert. If he retired in 2015, where did he play? Where is his overseas team? Did they give it away, or did they give it away?
Not probably not. I mean, maybe St. Petersburg, Moscow, and then he played for Moscow a lot.
Russia. Who was a Russian player who was great in defense, who was a two-time all-defensive team, and led the league in blocks in 2005, who has a great nickname?
Leads in blocks. Great nickname.
Give me another hint, because I'm struggling here with this.
That's all the hints. That's literally all the hints I can give you.
I'm gonna feel real stupid when I don't get this.
You don't give up?
Yeah, I got nothing. It's been a long day. Literally got nothing.
Player two is Andrei Karolinko, AK-47.
Oh, AK-47. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I never would have gotten that. When it comes to their careers, man, I think it's so hard to talk about Danny Granger's career and not talk about the injuries that kind of stole
everything.
The last 5 years of his career, because if he had been healthy during that Paul George era, him and Danny Granger and Paul George would have ran the Eastern Conference. Danny Granger was a bucket. He was on a terrible Indiana Pacers. I know you don't play fantasy basketball, but I used to play fantasy basketball back in the day before it became just taxing as shit. Well, because you have to maintain it every day and start your team
you mean before they monopolized it?
Yeah, it became so taxing. But yeah, Danny Granger was a first round pick, and he was a player that nobody ever heard of, but he was always a first round pick in fantasy basketball because he just filled up all of the stats and he was a bucket. And then he just got injured and he was never the same player, and Paul George kind of supplanted him as the best player in that team. And the rest is, as we say, history. He never really recovered from those injuries. AK-47 had a super long career where he played basically forever. Basically almost 20 years, 18 years. His pro career was a
if you combine his overseas career with his 97. That's when he started playing professional basketball. Right, he's over in Russia. 97 to 2001. Right, that's 4 years of him playing in Russia. Right, he gets drafted. They stash him overseas for those 2 years in '99. He comes over in 2001. From 2001 to 2011, he was on those Jazz teams that were really good. They were really good. Him,
yeah, Darren Williams, Carlos Boozer,
Mehmet Okur, right?
Yeah.
It was the last two. It was the last hurrahs of Jerry Sloan.
May he rest in peace.
The only issue that they just kept running into the same issue. 1 year is Tim Duncan. Right, 1 year is Tim Duncan. 1 year is Kobe Bryant. 1 year is Phoenix.
Yeah.
It was just.
and then if you remember, I think during the lockout shortened season, I think Andrei Karolinko got trapped in Russia in his contract. Yeah. Couldn't come back over until the season was over. So he basically lost the season of his career.
He was
never the same after that, really.
And he played in Russia. He spent that year playing in Russia.
Yeah, so when he came back over, he was never the same player. I'm gonna go Danny Granger. I just think Danny Granger's career, if he had stayed healthy, would have been I think we'd be talking about him as like one of the all-time great small forwards. Like he was so good, and then he just went downhill real fast for Danny Granger. Yeah, I'll take Danny Granger, but this one is pretty close. And Andre Karolinko is one of those underrated players that nobody really talks about, but like people remember, like yeah, that dude was super good back in the day.
Again, like he led the league in blocks in 2005. Right?
He led the league in blocks at the small forward position. Like what is that?
Andre Karolinko is 6'9". Like I think because of his frame.
Yeah, he's got a wild wingspan. I think it might be like 7'3", 7'4".
Like because of his frame, like he wasn't like physically imposing. Like Andre Karolinko was skinny,
200 pounds soaking wet.
But he he looked like that, right? He looked like you could just like fling him around like a rag doll. Dude,
7'4" was his wingspan. 7'4".
Dude, Karolinko was 235. He's 6'9", 235 pounds. Right? Like he legit looked like you could just fling him around. Right? Like you like he could just get him on the block, body him up. Like no, it was not like Andre Karolinko. Like he let it know like, hey, I ain't no easy walk. This is not a walk in the park over here, bro.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Yeah. But I'm going to go Danny Granger, but that's pretty close. But yeah,
because like if you think about it, like they both were one-time All-Stars, right?
I'm actually surprised. I'm not to be disrespectful, but I'm kind of surprised AK-47 was an All-Star, given the talent at the small forward position in the Western Conference at the time he played.
In the year 2004, so like that's sophomore Carmelo Anthony, that's
it's Tracy McGrady.
Right, Tracy McGrady, Sean Marion.
I don't know if Tracy McGrady was in the Western Conference yet. So,
but I'll just put up the 2004 NBA All-Star game. I have the coaches. I got the players. So in the East, no, T-Mac was still in the East. He was still in Orlando.
Yeah.
So in the West, it was Steve Francis, Kobe. They put Kevin Garnett at the 3 that year because you had Kobe, because Yao Ming was still a thing, you know? So you had KG, Tim Duncan, and Yao. That was the starters. And then Karolinko, Dirk, Stojakovic. Damn, Brad Miller made the All-Star team that year. That is crazy. And Shaq. Shaq was a reserve because that's the year that Yao Ming just like ran away with the vote at the center position in 2004. So yeah.
Yeah. So but yeah, that's been our edition of Go Talk. I'm taking Danny Granger. TJ, who are you taking in that situation?
Oh man, I would consider. I mean, like it sucks that what you said about Danny Granger is absolutely 100% positively true. Like it really is. Like we were robbed. Like I get it. Like he like none of us can feel what he felt. Like when we talk it's crazy because like when we talk what ifs in NBA history, he's rarely brought up. It's always Derrick Rose, John Wall, like guys like that. Danny Granger, in terms of what if, to your point, Danny Granger was special.
That's true. He was real good.
If I could pull up what he did prior to the injury, so if you can look at, all right, so he comes in as a rookie, not special, 7.5, 14, 19.6, 25, 24, 20.5, and then his last year of him being like a decent player was 2012, 2013. No, 2011, 2012. He averaged 18 a game, but he only played in 62. Was that the lockout year? 2011, 2012?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I think it was. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Danny Granger was a bucket. Yeah, I'm going to take Danny Granger. I think that's pretty close. Let us know in the comment section who would you pick, Danny Granger or AK-47. But this has been our episode of the breaking news with Donovan Mitchell getting traded, our full analysis of the deal. If you want to go back to the beginning of the show, let us know what you thought about the Donovan Mitchell trade. I'm all for it. I think it was a great deal.
I would have to go with Danny Granger because Karolinko's best year, the year he made the All-Star team, 16.5, 8 rebounds. Listen to this, bro. He averaged 2 steals a game and 2.8 blocks a game. He easily could have been Defensive Player of the Year.
It's true. It's true.
First, like, who was deep? Like, who won DPOI that year?
Probably Ben Wallace. If it was the year on there, probably Ben Wallace. Let's be real. But yeah, this has been our episode of the crossover.
No, it was not. I give you one hit and one who defense player of the year in 2003, 2004.
Kevin Garnett.
It was not Kevin Garnett. It was Ron Artest.
Okay, all right. But yeah, this has been the crossover. We broke down the Donovan Mitchell trade. Tomorrow is going to be Izzy's full preview of the college football basic kickoff that's happening this weekend. So you want, including the action that's happened right now on TV. But yeah, don't want to miss that content. And this weekend, we're going to be jumping into our week one content, including our picks of week one preview. We're going to be going into Prime Sports World Games of the Week, where we pick the games that we think are the most interesting, our 5 regular panelists. And then we're going to have a fantasy show, and then
and to your coworker that's a Ball State alum, is not having a good night right now.
Yeah, they're playing against Tennessee, SEC.
It's last time I looked, it was 45-0.
Oof. Ooh, I might have to send out a text right before I get out. Right after I get off this show. But yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoy the college football show and enjoy a weekend of college football. We will be back here on Sunday. Me and TJ breaking down everything going on in week one of the NFL season.
Since it's a holiday weekend, stay safe, be smart, all that good stuff. You know,
take an Uber if you're gonna drink and drive. Just throwing it out there.
Thank you.
Yeah, just be safe. But yeah, we'll be back here on this weekend. You all have a good weekend, and yes, it's a holiday weekend. Be safe. This has been the crossover, and yes, we will get back into our division preview series. I promise you, we will get them all done before the season starts. Continue checking out that content. Please like, share, and subscribe. And TJ, what we do hit the prom, my friend.
We bring the heat, kind sir.
Yeah, we can turn the heat off, man. It's like 90 degrees here in Fort Wayne, Indiana, man. It
was decent out here. Well, I sleep all day, so I went outside once today, and that was it. All right?
Okay, it's rough, but we'll see you guys later. Take it easy, man.